Oupa Florie is a artwork that I've made in the Old Resick Street post office. Oupa Florie is my grandfather that worked in the post office from 1921 as a 14-year-old postman. He had a 50-year career in the postal system, and in 1971 he retired as the head of the Northern Transvaal postal system. Within this career, he was very active politically, and his whole career was very invested in taking part in the development of the country at the time. So, through family, just photographs and histories and conversations with my father and my aunts, I have found out a whole lot of things about this grandfather, and the idea behind it is really to figure out how this has impacted on my life. So the first very interesting point that I'd like to mention is that he was quite high up in the Oupa Brandwag, which was like a guerrilla tactic type activity in the 40s. And the Oupa Brandwag was a very, just very, I suppose, highly regarded within the circles that were taking part in it, organization, and very, very strict on their members. So my grandfather obviously took this very seriously, and what I found really interesting through a community organizer, colleague of mine, Josie Adler, she mentioned to me that the purpose of the post office within the 40s and 50s was actually to develop all these political activities. It mobilized it. And I find it very interesting that my grandfather actually moved around a lot in South Africa. Even though I don't have the details of his activities within the Oupa Brandwag, there's a great parallel with the travels and how he actually moved himself up within both systems simultaneously. So my process within this artwork was just kick-started by when my father mentioned to me that my grandfather actually started working there. And about 2 years ago, when I first heard of this, I was very keen to start thinking of a site-specific artwork. But it was actually quite tricky to get access in the building and to find a way that I could just do a process-orientated artwork within the post office. So I basically persisted and kept in contact with the commissioned architects and tried to get in contact with the right people at the Heritage Council throughout, and recently found a breakthrough when Eric Itzken introduced me to the new architects, and the architects was very interested to see what I do. So I pitched the project as a temporary project to actually engrave the artwork just into the surface of the plaster through the first layers of paint, and then directly into the plaster and cement mixture that was actually placed on top of the bricks years ago. This process for me is it's a process-orientated work. So the fact that it's temporary is absolutely part of the work. Whilst I'm actually busy working on the wall, that is for me the artwork. The final documentation of it and how people access or don't access it is the viewer's own experience. So the fragility of the plaster and the cement surfaces will be removed as part of the refurbishment as soon as the architects have done all their planning and cost estimates, the work might actually be removed. The temporary nature of it gives me time to think of my family's history. My family started sharing all sorts of interesting stories and secrets to me, and it's really wonderful to get a response from within the family, to just ground my own being within the city. So I'm using all these heritage works that I've been doing for the past 3 years to find my own roots again in Joburg, but also to it's a research, but a physical sort of archaeological type research digging into my own family history. I'm not trying to memorialize them. What I'm trying to do is just to make their own processes public and to inspire other people to find their own groundedness through their own genetics and their own family histories. Whilst I'm chiseling and grinding and repairing the paint chips that falls off and repainting parts of it, I basically look under the layers for my own stories to surface. And by scratching the surface, I hope to inspire others to scratch their own surfaces in an act to understand their own contexts. The work is on the Pritchard Street entrance of the Russick Street Post Office, and people who's interested to go and view it can make an appointment with me to go on a walkabout. The work is not open to the public at this point, but if it somehow gets preserved within the refurbishment process, it will have a longer life. And if not, at least at this point, the work has actually found its place.